Okay. So I'll tell you 3 different stories of how we have now built a very large brand in the Middle East. I'm happy to take questions. I won't take up all of your time. I hope that we can make this interactive, and I hope that you can take something away from it. So, I believe that I went to Dubai in 2014, and it was a very different landscape to what it is now. And I think now it's probably one of the most competitive markets in the world. So, you know, I started my career in London, and you had every broker there, and it was very competitive back then. And then over the years, more and more brokers set up shop in Dubai, and I think since COVID, every broker has tried to come and set up shop. So it's very, very competitive. The regulatory landscape has changed a lot, and I think every year there's new people coming. Now Robinhood is coming, Revolut is coming, many, many different players that have more money than you, have global products that are trying to enter the market. So the problem then becomes that a lot of people set up shop and they don't really find an edge and an ability to compete with many of the other brokers that have either already been there for a long time or have bigger budgets. So the question is, how do you actually find a way into the market? And I introduced 2 brokers that had their own platform and one that was an MT4 broker. And it's not actually about the product fitting or not fitting. There's a market for every different shade of broker in Dubai. But you really have to understand how you can play that game. So I would be lying if I was standing here in front of you and said that all 3 brokers were a success. The first one in 2014 was much easier than the other 2 because we were very early. Once we did get a license, we had very little competition, and we were able to scale that broker. The second broker, I completely failed, and it took a long time to get a license. And the problem that happened was I thought I had a playbook from the first broker that I could apply to the second broker, and it would just work, just similarly to how it worked the first time around. The problem is that the market moves. It moves all the time, and if you don't understand how to move with that market, you have very little chance of surviving because of the better funded international players just outspending you. So, usually when a broker comes to the UAE, they all do the same thing. They start from abroad, they try and localize a website, try and run some Arabic ads, hire sales teams that speak the local languages abroad. The same what we did. They call, and some clients will try you out. Clients will sign up for an account, they'll try you out, but very rarely do they also stick around, because you can't really build a relationship from abroad without having a local presence. So from my second broker experience, before I started with Capital, I understood you need to find this wedge into the market and be very unique and stand for something, otherwise you'll just be overlooked. So we went looking for this wedge. And we found this wedge in a very unstructured way. We had no idea what we were looking for. We were just trying a bunch of different things. And so one of those things that in hindsight looks very reasonable to do, I want to go into more detail so you understand what happened. We hired a guy, actually here in Cyprus, because we didn't have an office in Dubai yet, that spoke Arabic, and he was getting very frustrated with the sales team and didn't want to do sales anymore. I liked the guy, and he was a good worker, so I wanted him to stick around in the team and do something that could help us build the region. He was passionate about YouTube and crypto. So I told him, why don't we start a YouTube channel for Capital where we talk about the markets. He was a 20-year-old that had no idea about financial markets. He wasn't a normal analyst that would go onto Bloomberg and talk macro. He was someone that was genuinely curious about a new evolving world. Back in 2020, 2021, crypto wasn't as mainstream as it is now. And he started posting videos. And the problem was nothing happened. It was horrendous. It was a horrendous experience. He did long-form videos for like 30 minutes. He had no clue how to use light properly, how to be professional in front of the camera. He just spoke his mind. And after 6-7 months, any normal human being would cut the project and said, you know, this is not working. We have to just stop this, right? And then YouTube Shorts came around. And there was basically no competition, especially in Arabic. No one was doing YouTube Shorts about the markets in Arabic. And so we tried. We said, let's produce 4 reels every single day and never stop. Never on weekends, just produce 4 one-minute videos every single day. And the one thing, and this was in a coffee shop in Cafinero here that we discussed, was, you know, Arabs like watching the news, especially the older generation. They just like to sit in front of TV and watch the news. And we thought, maybe we'll try this. We'll talk about the markets and talk about what is happening. And we figured out every time we talked about Elon Musk, crypto, anything that was moving the markets, people would listen and people would share these reels. And all of a sudden, there was movement. And then we started replying to every comment, every DM. We were never switched off. We had 3 people running this team by then. So it was a very small team. But after probably now a year and a half in, we finally found something that was giving us a lot of attention from supposedly people that are not interested in trading or too young for trading. Well, we figured out there's actually a lot of people, perfect target market, 25 to 45 to 50, watching these videos. So we doubled down and continued producing videos. And now, at the end of 2024, 4 years in, we generated 100 million organic views. No paid advertising, nothing. Just organic views, day after day, without ever stopping, for 4 years. And now, when you have 100 million views, anyone that does marketing and understands marketing and how expensive that would be to do on a paid side, understands how powerful this can actually be. Views is a vanity metric at the end of the day, right? We're all there to grow a broker and generate revenue. So I'll tell you 2 more stories, what happened from these views. We have a tracking link on these videos and on this channel to track who opens an account, and most people never click on this account, right? So I can't give you a good indication of how much money this has actually generated. However, we also do speak to our clients and ask where they heard about us or why they opened an account. And one of these clients was a guy in Qatar who had watched a 1-minute YouTube reel, had opened an account, and within the first 18 months generated $3 million in revenue. This team has cost me 100,000 euros probably per year for 4 years. And this one client had paid back everything and multiples on top of that. And the other story that I will never forget is I went to Jordan to speak to the central bank for a license. And there was the deputy governor of the central bank, a 52-year-old man, who I introduced myself to him, said, Capital.com. Yes, I know you guys. From my TikTok. There's this boy and a girl that always talk about crypto. I know you guys. So that just symbolizes that infotainment and social media for a corporate can get you into rooms and get you, everyone is on their phones. It's, 2 phones, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever social media channel, if you're present and you can keep holding attention, it can go a very, very long way. And you shouldn't think that, oh, my target market isn't on this channel, it's for kids dancing in front of TikTok, right? So it was a massive, massive lesson. And I think it symbolizes that if you stick around for a very long time, just like in sports, and you keep doing the same repetition for years and years, it compounds to a way that you would never be able to predict at the beginning. And now I stand here and we look smart having done this move. And I can't believe that still no broker has really copied this, even though everyone sees how many views we have online, right? But it's very, very difficult to execute. Everyone knows what you should be doing, whether you should go to the gym or eat right or whatever. You all know what you're supposed to do. Just sticking to it and doing it is a complete different story. So in sports, we always get told you can only control the controllables, right? You can't affect what the referee is going to do, what your competition is going to do. It all doesn't matter. But you can affect. You can say, I'm going to be here and do the same thing, 4 different reels every single day for 5 years straight, and at some point you're going to get great success. And so the first 2 brokers, 90% of my revenue was generated from expats, which most of them are in Dubai, but English-speaking expats. Now, at Capital, 65% of our revenue is Arabic-speaking. Well, we generate 100 million social media views per year in Arabic, and 65% of our revenue is Arabic speaking. They're not perfectly correlated, but I can tell you that when you're looking for a wedge and for something to differentiate yourself from the competition, doing something that no one else has done before and owning social media is one wedge that helps you build a brand that is very, very difficult for other people now to catch up with. And this is what compounding looks like if you stick around for long enough. For a very, very long time, all the views were nothing. And a lot of people wanted to cancel the project internally because it was just not giving you any results. But to me, the upside of keeping these 3 guys working on this project and at some point completely owning the Arabic-speaking channels has paid off massively. Now, there's one more lesson that I want to share. I think a lot of people come to Dubai and everyone knows that there's high-value clients and everyone breaks their head in how do I get to these high-value clients, right? And so you can come to Dubai and play the same game as everyone else, localize the website, localize the ads, get a sales team, get a marketing team, and play at a very similar level to all the other players that are out there. But if you really want to break through and year after year grow your brand, you need to do something that is very different to how people operate in Europe or how people operate in markets where there's mass amount of people, right? You need to find whales. And those whales, they're a very tiny, tiny, tiny fraction of the whole market. And so we became whale hunters. And that's a very difficult sport to do, because you can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this ad on Google and I'm going to find a whale, or I'm going to do this video on YouTube, or I'm going to do this event, or whatever single thing you think about is not going to attract a whale. But at the end of the day, 319 clients represent almost 50% of my revenue. And if I hadn't found those 300-something clients, we wouldn't be nowhere near the success that we have had in the Middle East at the moment. So marketing alone or performance marketing alone will never be able to get you there. There is a whole combination of different factors that you have to put together to get there. And when it comes back to sports, it's the same thing. You can't just eat right. You have to train right. You have to put in the reps. You have to get sleep right, right? There's so many different things that you have to do to get to an overall success. And with a brokerage, it's the same thing. You have to have good pricing. You have to have a good platform. You have to speak the right language of the clients. You have to have outstanding service to be able to compete. So there's so many different aspects that are parallels to sports that you can draw here that are very, very important. So I'll leave you with something that, you know, in sports is very normal for someone as an athlete, and in the boardroom or in the corporate world, we forget a lot of the times. This repetition, a lot of people are ready to do the repetition, right? But the gains in sports are really won by doing a lot of film study, doing a lot of looking at what is working and what is actually not working. And to me personally, this has happened when I had this failure with the second broker where we didn't really take off after we've already had a success. And I sat there and I thought, before I took this third job, they hired me and I was supposed to sign a license, to submit a license on that day, on my first day. And I refused to sign because it would have been the same license as the first two companies got, and something told me that we need to do something different. So for the first 3 years, instead of having a team on the ground, instead of being able to operate like all the other competitors, we didn't actually have a license. And that reflection or film study, as it is in sport, later on helped us outcompete a lot of the other brokers on the ground by miles, just because we made a few decisions that were very different and very, just like the social media one, not what everyone else was doing. And I think a lot of the times we're just in autopilot and we just copy and paste what we have always done or what someone has always done, and stopping and thinking, you know, what can we do different to take this company in a completely different direction, pays off massively. And this has nothing to do with experience. It has always to do, everything to do with looking for that 1% that you can change in your day-to-day to try and gain an edge or find your wedge into the market. Thank you very much. Go on.
Thank you. I love the energy that you always bring in your talks. And hi. What I can relate to you is, in our social media channels, I can certainly relate, because what you talked about in 2021 and how you generated business, but you had the fear of, okay, this project may work or may not work, but you stayed, you kept the project alive, and it brought you so much of revenue. This is exactly what we have experienced. Landed a client in TikTok by recording about the financial markets who had 160 kg worth of gold, and then they were the wholesale buyers and sellers. My question for you is for twofolds. You are a visionary leader, right? That you always take risk at the same time as well, and consistent. Now, when you took the risk in 2021, hiring those YouTubers, talking about crypto, at the same time associating name with capital.com, how did you dodge the bullet with the regulators associating capital.com's name with the crypto? And number two, what is your view for the latest trend in the industry, which is the predictions market? Very few are thinking, but I was in Miami about a month ago for the Token 2049 event, and everyone is talking about only for the predictions market. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Your first question was, how did I dodge the bullet with the regulator, and how did I not associate capital.com with crypto? Well, I didn't think that I needed to dodge any bullet. What I stayed clearly away from is giving advice on what crypto to invest in, right? It was much more around what is happening in the ecosystem, what are the news around crypto. There is a lot that happened in those few years. I mean, FTX, Binance, there's a lot of blow-ups that happened, but it was always news related, right? We took this idea of, on TV, news work, and so we want to take the same framework here and talk about something. It almost became our halo product. And I think in every market, these halo products exist. So in the Middle East, the halo products for us were local stocks, because a lot of people trade local stocks, and it was crypto. And that drove a lot of engagement. So we just kept talking about these products. We did have the regulator question us about crypto and our videos that we were doing. And it's a normal exchange, right? It's very clear that when you do an analysis and actually show them what we're talking about, that there was no problem. We stayed well within our rights, and we did the same kind of videos that we do about gold and that we do about the NASDAQ and on all the other asset classes as well. So your second question was about prediction markets. Yeah, I mean, prediction markets have really taken off in the US. We haven't really seen this type of form taking off in other kind of markets, but every other regulator is thinking about it, and a lot of firms are thinking about how they can offer this. From a Capital.com perspective, we're not quite there yet in thinking of adding it. We have our core kind of product and a strategy of rolling out other kind of products. But it's definitely an interesting, I would see this very similar to the crypto markets, of it being a halo market that brings people in who then convert into trading all sorts of different asset classes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. One more?
Thank you. So I work in a very similar industry to yourself. And I guess one of the questions when I was listening to you talk was, you said you failed on your second broker bringing you to the UAE. I guess given the success you've had following that second broker at Capital.com, what have you learned since then that if you could go back to your days at the second broker, you would then implement differently or do differently to make that more of a success?
Yeah, I think two things. One is watch everything that you're doing and always question, and don't come in with preconceived notions that you know everything and you're just going to do what you have done before. You have to see what is working in the market now, and or what is working for other people, and find a way to adjust your thinking. Our industry moves very, very quickly, and you have no time to do something that maybe worked. Pre and post-COVID are completely different kind of playbooks in Dubai and in many other places, right? And the second thing is, team is also a very important factor. My failure, I take responsibility for that failure, but there's always a bunch of different people involved, right? So hiring the right kind of people that can help you reach new highs, whether it's in a social media team or in a compliance team or in a marketing team, is super, super important, and limits where you can get to if you don't have the right kind of people. Any other questions? One more.
Thank you very much for your talk. You talked a bit about how the broker industry has evolved in Dubai. I'm very curious, since you've mentioned crypto, how the crypto acceptance has evolved over that same period of time.
Yeah, so people internally ask me, who are our competitors? And usually at the first broker, we would always mention a bunch of other kind of brokers that are our competition. Since I've been at Capital for the last 5 years, I've been trying to tell global teams that actually our competition aren't necessarily brokers. It is the neobanks that are trying to get into the market, and it is crypto exchanges. So, Dubai made a massive push into getting all the crypto firms to be on the ground and build headquarters. And so we've had Binance set up shop, Crypto.com, FTX, all the biggest firms all of a sudden are on the ground vying for the same kind of customers. We had Rain in Bahrain, so we have loads and loads of crypto exposure. And that brings an ecosystem, not just with the employees and the staff that is there, but that obviously also opens up the competition on crypto. So in the last 3 years, it has become very, very competitive for any CFD broker to compete with an exchange who usually have much tighter pricing and who are now also locally regulated and who have local bank accounts. And so it's become very, very competitive. And acceptance within the region has gone through the roof. I mean, if you look at Saudi Arabia, I think it's the fifth biggest market in terms of crypto wallets. In the UAE, a lot of transactions get done in crypto, whether it's real estate or a bunch of different business transactions. And so acceptance is huge. And I don't think that anyone can imagine a world without crypto anymore. That's it. Thank you very much. Have a good day.